Hey, today we're going to talk about suture scissors. Welcome to Surgical X, Surgery Explained. My name is Paul Halfman. I'm a certified surgical first assistant. And I know what you're thinking. Paul, I learned how to use scissors like in kindergarten. I know how to use a pair of scissors. Maybe not properly. One of the first jobs they're going to give you, whether you're an intern or a med student or a PA, NP, surgical assistant student, they're going to hand you a pair of scissors, suture scissors, and they're going to ask you to cut the tails while they suture. And if you don't do it right, if you struggle, if you cut somebody's knot, you're going to get the stink eye. So I'm going to show you some tips on how to do it properly. I'm going to show you how to do it without damaging tissue. Sometimes you see people cut tissue. Yeah, let's get started. So I've set up a few different scenarios here ahead of time. And in order to cut the knots, first we need to understand a little bit about scissor basics. Okay, there's a top blade and there's a bottom blade. When we're cutting, we're going to focus on the bottom blade. That's going to be our guide. So let's say for this first knot, I want to cut at the knot. So pull those tails tight. I'm going to find the sutures with the bottom blade. Okay, so I find the suture with the bottom blade. I'm going to slide that down to the knot. Okay, I'm touching the sutures, the legs of the sutures with that bottom blade. I slide it down to the knot and I cut. And that's going to give me a cut right at the knot. Okay, how is that different from if I want a bit of a tail? Okay, well, we would find the blade, we would find the legs again with the bottom blade, slide down, but instead of closing here, I'm going to angle. Okay, I'm going to angle up, and the degree to which I angle up will determine the length of that tail. So that one has a longer tail. Here we have no tail or short tail. Here we got a longer tail. We'd want a longer tail if we were doing something deep, perhaps like a fascial layer. We want a little bit longer tail. We would use a longer tail if we were using a monofilament that had a lot of memory on it, like a heavy monofilament. Okay, what about in this scenario? This is a subcutaneous suture. Subcutaneous stitch, so the knot's buried. In this scenario, I'm not worried about cutting the knot, I'm worried about cutting the tissue, right? If I cut like this, parallel to the incision, that tissue might want to jump up into my scissors. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go perpendicular, and since I want to cut flush, I don't need any tail since that knot is buried. In fact, tail sticking out is going to be a problem. It's going to be a wick for infection to get down in there. I'm going to cut flush, perpendicular to the incision, and cut. Now that's buried. All right, lastly, we want to talk about a very special rule. Rule I like to call just the tip. It's the rule of just the tip. Here I've set up a scenario where our knot is deep down in tissue. Okay. When I use my scissors to go down to the knot, I don't want to come all the way up into the jaws of the scissor to cut. I just want to use the tip. So I got my bottom blade, I found the knot, I'm angling up, and I'm just going to use the tip to cut. Why is that important? Well, if I go beyond the tip, I might cut something else down in the tissue by mistake, something that's beyond the knot. A rule I like to call just the tip. Scissors, suture scissors, pretty easy stuff, I know. But I promise you this is something I see new people struggle with all the time. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Christy, for writing in about your dog and the staples in your dog's leg. I hope they came out well and that your puppy's doing better. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of your patients. And please do the right thing every time. Thank you.